That guy's very focused.
Up here to the right, please.
This way. Look in here, up here, please. Straight head on, that's lovely. And Alicia, just eyes back around to the corner.
Guys, just right here.
Please, Will.
To your left, then to your left.
All right, guys. Everyone in? All right, come on,
And working round to your left.
and eyes to your left. Left hand side. And Laura, just eyes, just coming around there for me. Hold it there. Keep it with me. And Laura, just coming back there. Excellent. Once more, straight into the middle, please.
Yeah, stay there.
Then back into the middle, please. Down the left. Back into the
Straight
middle.
your eyes, looking straight ahead. Straight ahead.
And up here.
Well, Hogan. In the camera. Looking right in here. Don't worry about anyone else for a minute. There you go.
And then working back into the centre.
And then back to the corner again. Brilliant. Straight ahead of you, please. Straight ahead.
Look down through to the front, please. Look down.
You have to come back. See. He just pulls back a little bit.
Americans in that way, but when I read this screenplay,
There are going to be people who have come with preconceived notions, and that's
I saw it when I was younger, but it was just a picture, I didn't know any of the story. But now after researching Peter, and he's become a man in my heart and in my mind, and now all of those lashes have stories behind them. It was a horrific time in American history. And I think Antoine has masterfully put you back into the heart of what that experience must have been for Peter. For years, I've never wanted to work in the genre. I didn't want to depict, African Americans in that way. But when I read this screenplay, I saw that it wasn't a slavery film. It was a freedom film. It was a film about endurance and love and faith and family. It was a film about a man who believed so much in God that he was able to endure the unendurable.
I was familiar with the image of Peter's back. I didn't know his story. It's an image that you can't unsee. So getting to tell this story with Antoine and this cast of giving that man not only a name but his story back, and one that inspires, I hope it touches people. Antoine got in touch, and he said I'm a big fan of his. And he said, I want to lift the veil. That's what he said, and that banged around my head for a while. And the way he explained his vision of the film was, it's unlike any other film on this subject I think we've ever seen. It's terribly moving to share this film with an audience. Very rarely can I say that a film matters, and I think Emancipation matters, and we need films like this right now. So I'm hoping people come to the theater with soft eyes.
It's a powerful image. There's a reason why it's the first viral image that, you know, really showed the horrors of slavery to so many people that, you know, either chose to turn their eyes the other way and didn't really want to pay attention to it. But yeah, it's incredibly powerful. I was able to do it and jumped at the chance. You know, he's an amazing director, and I just had the best time working with Will, and he's just so collaborative, and honestly, it was one of my favorite scenes I've worked with. And I'd worked with Will before, and it was great to work with him again. This day and age, like it feels like we forget some of the things that, you know, we've been through in the society, and I just, especially Will in this role, is a really powerful thing, and you know, it's an amazing story, and what Antoine was able to do with this story, it feels very fresh, and you know, it's going to be an intense thriller. You know, it's he brings all those expertise of his you know, action background and whatnot to like take you on a ride, and I felt that way when I read the script. You know, before I ever, you know, got on set. I was like, man, this is intense. This is good. Everyone is going to feel what this man is going through intensely. It's amazing to be here. Honestly, I live in Los Angeles. It's the first time I've been in London where I'm not jet lagged and not like a little out of it. So it's just an amazing city to be in, and I'm grateful to be able to be here.
I saw it when I was in junior high school, and I remembered it then, but I was too young to understand at that time the atrocity of it all. And to get to go make that as a movie now and to bring his story to the world is probably the most gratifying thing that I've done as a film producer. Any things like that have destroyed so many human beings, you know, we have to educate it so that something like that never happens again. And we're living in a time right now, quite frankly, where I think the film is probably more important than ever, unfortunately. It was the hardest movie I've ever shot. We were in Louisiana in the summertime, in the swamps, snakes, alligators, mosquitoes, hurricanes. We shut down. I mean, it was a crazy hard shoot, hardest shoot I've ever had. He has a visual style to all of his movies, and he was an artist, you know, when he started his career. And between him and our cinematographer, Robert Richardson, they actively decided to make the film look a certain way and commit to that. So it was a really incredible way to watch it unfold, and the coloring and the desaturation and where we're going to choose to have color. And we kind of made it a character in the movie, part of Peter's life. So that was a choice.
Brutality is the first thing I thought about, inhumane brutality. And then you think about how somebody can survive that sort of beating. So it was quite shocking. First time I ever saw it. Well, now it's more it's inspiring. because, you know, here I am. I just made a film about a guy from 1863 that most people didn't even know his real name, Peter, Gordon, and, you know, so I felt more inspired now. Well, I don't think we've learned our lesson. We're still mistreating each other, and, you know, sometimes we get to, especially in the United States, where we're discussions about what kids are being taught in school, and it's important to remember the past so we don't repeat it. Slavery was so brutal and so inhumane, you don't feel like it's even happening on Earth. It's like another planet. And so when I started to think about it and talked about Richardson, my cinematographer, we talked about the feeling of it being another planet, and from the perspective of the slave. Probably not much color in the world if you're, you know, being treated that way. So that's how we came about. It's very important to me to come to London and show the film. You know, I want the world to see it, especially people here who are very conscious of slavery and brutality.
I remember it from growing up. You know, it's one of those images that never leaves you when you see it. You know, but I had no idea about the story and had never, you know, even occurred to me to explore the story. I was lucky enough to read the script when it was in that form from Bill Collage right here, and you know, it was just this fascinating idea of like, oh, I knew the photo, but I had never known what journey he must have gone on. You know, and so there was research done, figure out where he started from. We knew where he ended up. And, you know, from there you can kind of extrapolate what must have happened in between. And it was just fascinating. And, you know, humanizing an image like that is such a powerful idea. So it struck all of us. I joined Will Smith's production company as his producing partner about 3 years ago. And when I arrived, there were 2 or 3 scripts that had been earmarked for him, including King Richard, including Emancipation. And, you know, I showed up and learned that Will was interested in this and that Antoine Fuqua was interested in it, and you know, checked it out myself and knew immediately this is a project that we have to make and that could be extremely powerful. It resonates for a bunch of reasons, right? I think there's the universal aspect of just being torn from your family and the lengths you'd go as a human being to get back to them, you know, and so many movies have explored that, but not in this setting, right? And then there's also the cultural reason for it, you know. It's easy to forget what this country's gone through, what our country's gone through, and it's important to tell stories like this. It was also nice that this story had a hopeful message to it, and also a kind of narrative drive engine of you know, getting through these elements. So it just had a lot of things that made it special and also made it important. Antoine and Bob Richardson, you know, from day one, even in the camera tests, kind of knew they wanted to do a different color palette. They started playing with it. My sense, they never said this, but my sense is there's a reflection of the photo itself in that, you know, and a lot of photos from that era had pops of color, and that was something they really worked on, which was this desaturated, almost black and white look, but with these really artful moments where a color will pop from the red of a flag or the green of a bush, that kind of thing. And so it just creates this really unique, kind of never seen before a palette, that for me at least. I love London. I've made many movies out here. You know, so excited getting here, and it's just such a great film culture. The history of filmmaking here. You go to Pinewood, all your favorite movies are made there, and it's just the, you know, most amazing city out here. So it's a real treat to be here today. And
I first saw the image of Peter when I was a pretty little kid, I would imagine, somewhere in the early 70s. And I think what was weird about it was, you know, my whole life it always seemed like a symbol, which was very powerful. But, you know, the idea of turning it into an actual person and bringing to life his story and how he got from a very difficult place to a place where he changed the world was kind of something that was really important to do, I thought. It's been incredible to see how people are embracing it, and obviously there's a lot of difficult material that is in the movie that happened at that time, and that honesty is hard for people, and I respect that. And at the same time, you know, there's 400 years of this stuff that happened, and it was pretty horrific, and it's important to remember that and to bring it to life at a time when we're still going through a lot of really difficult things. I think that's what Antoine and Will wanted to do, and I was just happy to help. I tried to write with as much emotion as I could possibly bring. I approached it with a lot of humility, knowing that I could only do so much. Antoine and Will and the cast were going to have to take it from there, and we had an incredible crew who inspired, you know, a lot of really bold choices, and I think took the whole thing to another level that I could have obviously never done.
I've never wanted to work in the genre, but when I read this screenplay, I saw that it wasn't a slavery film. It was a freedom film, a film about endurance and love and faith and family.
I will come back to you!
I was familiar with the image of Peter's back. I didn't know his story. Very rarely can I say that a film matters. I think Emancipation matters, and we need films like this right now. It's unlike any other film on this subject I think we've ever seen.
You walk the earth because I let you. I'm your God now.
A lot changes from the past, but division comes up at certain times, and I think we're at a certain juncture where politically we're getting more divided, more polarized, so I think it's a nice reminder that we should lead with love.
Slaves are free. We must get to Baton Rouge. Lincoln's army is there. There are many ways to die in a swamp. There are many ways to die here.
Antoine has a visual style to all of his movies, and he was an artist.
Slavery was so brutal and so inhumane, you don't feel like it's even happening on Earth. It's like another planet. And so when I talked about the feeling of it being another planet, and from the perspective of the slave, probably not much color in the world if you're being treated that way.
Antoine has masterfully put you back into the heart of what that experience must have been for Peter.
They break the bones in my body more times than I can count. But they never break me.
Muy de me hubo pi, di luz muy